Hi guys, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Expert Engineers. Today we will discuss perimeters of square and rectangle. Now let's start. Before going to proceed further, first we will discuss what is perimeter. The perimeter of a shape is measured by adding the length of all its sides. And all the lengths must be in single unit like centimeter, meters. Now comes to the perimeter of square. What is square? A square is a four-sided two-dimensional shape having all sides equal in length and all the four angles of square must be 90 degree. Perimeter of square. The perimeter of square can be measured by adding the length of all four sides. Now let's suppose we have a square and we assume the length of one side of square is L. Then we can write the perimeter as length plus length plus length plus length. As we know that the length of all four sides are equal. So we can write the perimeter of square as 4 into L. Now let's solve an example. Find the perimeter of square if the length of one side is 15 centimeter. Let's suppose we draw a square and assume that the length of its side is 15 centimeter. Now comes to the solution. As we know that perimeter of square is 4 into L. Then we put the value of length in the formula. And we will get the perimeter of square is equal to 4 into 15 centimeter, that is equal to 60 centimeter. So the perimeter of square is 60 centimeter if its length is 15 centimeter. Now let's solve another example. In this example, we have changed the scenario a little bit. Find the length of the square if the perimeters of square is 80 centimeter. Let's draw a square and we have to find the length of square whose perimeter is 80 centimeter. As we know that perimeter of square is equal to 4 into length. And we have to find the length of square, so length of square is equal to perimeter of square divided by 4. Then we put the values in the formula and we will get length is equal to 20 centimeter. Now we will discuss the perimeters of rectangle. Before going to proceed further, first we will discuss what is a rectangle. A rectangle is a four-sided two-dimensional shape and the length of opposite sides of rectangle are equal. And remember that all four angles of rectangle must be equal to 90 degree. Let's suppose that we have a rectangle. Let's assume that L is the length of one side of rectangle, then the length of opposite side will also be L. And let's assume that if W is the width of rectangle, then the width of opposite side to this W is also W. Now we will discuss perimeter of rectangle. The perimeter of a rectangle can be measured by adding the length of all four sides of rectangle. Let us suppose that we have this rectangle. Let's assume that L is the length of a side of the rectangle. and W is the width, then we can write the perimeter as the perimeter of rectangle is equal to length plus width plus width. As we have two lengths and two widths that are equal, then we can write as 2 into length plus 2 into width. We can further simplify the above expression as 2 into length plus width. This is the final expression for the perimeter of rectangle. Now let's solve an example. Find the perimeter of rectangle if its length is 30 cm and width is 20 cm. Let's suppose that we have this rectangle and the length of rectangle is 30 cm and the width of rectangle is 20 cm as per given data. As we know that perimeter of rectangle is equal to 2 into length plus width. By putting the values, we get 2 into 30 cm plus 20 cm. And by solving this, we get perimeter of rectangle is equal to 100 cm. So the perimeter of rectangle is 100 cm if its length is 30 cm and width is 20 cm. Now let's solve another example in which we have changed the scenario a little bit. Find the length of rectangle if its perimeter is 140 meter and its width is 30 meter. Now let's assume that we have this rectangle and as per given data, the width of rectangle is 30 meter and we have to find the length of rectangle. As we know that perimeter of rectangle is equal to 2 into length plus width. In this case, we have to find the length of rectangle. So by putting the values, we get 140 meter is equal to 2 into length plus 30 meter. By solving this, we get length of rectangle is equal to 40 meter. So the length of rectangle is 40 meter. Now let's solve another example. A rectangular ground is 100 meter long and 50 meter wide. The cost of fencing the ground is Rs 75 per meter. Find the total cost of fencing around the ground. In this case, we have a rectangular ground whose length is 100 meter and width is 50 meter. And the per meter cost of fencing the ground is 75 rupees. And we have to find the total cost of fencing around the ground. This is actually a real world problem related to perimeters of rectangle. Now let's draw a rectangle whose length is 100 meter and width is 50 meter. And we have to find the total cost of fencing around the ground. In order to find the total cost, we have to calculate the perimeter of rectangle first. As we know that perimeter of rectangle is equal to 2 into length plus width. By putting the values, we get 2 into 100 plus 50. If we solve this, then we get perimeter of rectangle is equal to 300 meter. And we have the per meter cost. If we multiply the per meter cost with the total length of all four sides, then we will get the total cost of fencing. The perimeter of rectangle is 300 meter. As we know that per meter cost of fencing is Rs 75. And if we multiply this 300 meter with per meter cost, then we get the total cost of fencing. That is equal to 22,500 rupees. So the total cost of fencing is 22,500 rupees. What we have learned from this video. What is perimeter? What is a rectangle or a square? How to find the perimeter of a square from its length how to find length of square from its perimeter, how to find perimeter of a rectangle from its length and width, how to find the length or width of a rectangle from its perimeter and the one side given, how to find the cost of fencing a rectangular or a square shaped ground. Thank you so much for watching this video.